Chilling out with the crew in the schoolyard, finding trouble, never looking too hard. Back at class, they never taught us this. Hey guys, it's Martin Billany, also known as LittleKuriboh. And for the longest time, I think since like week 1, I've been asked, are you ever going to do an abridged series of any of the Yu-Gi-Oh spin-offs? Mostly, specifically, GX usually. And I'm afraid to say it, but the answer is probably no, because I'm still abridging the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, well, the Duel Monsters anime anyway, and I've been doing it for the better part of 12 years now, and I feel like if I were to start any of the other spin-offs, it would be another decade at least of my life working on that, and I just don't think I have the willpower or the stamina. I've sustained many injuries and diseases while making this Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series that obviously completely unrelated to abridging, but still. But I did want to do something with the spin-offs, and I've postulated and gone back and forth on what exactly that is for a long time, but the best thing I could come up with is a video review series of videos where I watch each episode and review it in the form of a video, so you at least know my feelings, and hopefully those are entertaining enough. My feelings are always entertaining, be it love or passion or misery. All of those feelings are entertaining to somebody, usually my wife, especially misery. But yeah, you may have noticed that I'm not in Duelist Kingdom anymore, which I was at last December. I'm at Duel Academy, Duel School. What's it called? High School for Duelists, Hogwarts School for the magically card game inclined, Hogwarts for card games. And there are many reasons for being here, mostly because thematically it fits with me watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and recapping it and reviewing it, but also because I need to learn how to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. And what better place to learn than an academy designed solely for teaching children how to play children's card games. I'm an adult. I don't know why they let me in. You'd think it would violate the most basic rules that they have. Nah, they were fine with it. They took one look at me and they were like, yeah, okay, sure. I think they're desperate for more students. If they'll accept me, they'll accept anybody. And you gotta think that after a while, they're gonna have less applicants as the card game becomes more widely known. And also, if you just go online, you can figure out how to play the game. It's kind of a redundant facility at this point. I have a great idea, Mr. Seto Kaiba. Let's make a school specifically for training kids how to play Duel Monsters. That'd be a great idea, except that everybody seems to know how to play the game already. So you're an idiot. Duh. That's how that conversation probably went. In reality, if it were real. But anyway, yeah, I'm here at Duel Academy. I'm not actually assigned to a dorm yet, so I'm not obviously in Slifer Red or Obelisk Blue or Raw Yellow attire just yet. I'm just, I guess I'm an exchange student. I don't know. Just call me an Exchange of the Spirit student. Because Exchange of the Spirit is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's the joke. I'm here to learn how to play the game, but while I'm learning, let's take a look at episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And for the record, I am watching the dub. I polled my Twitter feed to see which one they'd rather see me review, and it turned out that they'd rather see me watch the dub by a wide margin. So for those of you saying in the comments, oh, I wish he was watching the Japanese version because it has all this extra stuff and is more true to the story, I'm not doing that. I'd love to do that, but I also want to make jokes about how daft the name Chumley is. So, you know, my hands are tied. So yeah, episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX called The New King of Games, which is interesting in itself because I don't really feel like Jaden, or Yuki Judai as he's known in the original Japanese version of GX, was really trying to be the next King of Games. I could be wrong, but I mean, that's what the show, the dubbed version suggests at least, so hey, let's go with it. So the show opens with Jaden running to the Duel Academy entrance exams. Literally sprinting through an entire city to get to these entrance exams, which he mentions as he's doing so, he's late to the entrance exams. He's going to be late. And you gotta wonder if this was going to be his education, if this was to be his family's choice of education for him as his life goes forward, that his parents would be happy to drive him to the entrance exams. They'd at least provide some sort of transportation to the entrance exams, which I imagine they seem to be a fair distance away. But no, Jaden has to leg it all the way there by himself. No supervision. I assume he's like, what, 12, 13, 14? I don't know. He's a youngish adult. A little shonen guy. I can only imagine that his parents refused to drive him to the entrance exam because every time they drive him somewhere, when they look in the rearview mirror, they see his hair and they think they're being chased by some sort of hairy blancmange, or like a Metroid with disturbing amounts of body hair. And they look at it and they're like, oh, getting chased by a hairy Metroid. And they just freak out and crash the car. And after 3 cars later, they're like, look, mate, just walk places. So yeah, Jaden is running to Duel Academy. We're just running there. Not even to Duel Academy. He's running to the entrance exam, which I guess takes place at the Kaiba Corp Duel Dome. What's it called? The Duel Dome Dingle, the Hey Doll, Derry Doll, Tom Bombadillo Dome? What's it called? Kaiba Corp Thunderdome? What is it? I don't know what it's called. Tell me in the comments, like you do. But anyway, that's where the entrance exams are happening, so he runs there. And as he's running there, this is why he's running. He's not running for any, like, logical reason. He's running specifically so that on his way there, he can bump into Yugi and have his little interaction with him. Because you gotta have, you know, the passing of the torch to the next main character. And I gotta say, now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to get upset by this, but in my opinion, going from Yugi to Jaden, massive downgrade. So they should have, in my opinion, just not brought Yugi into any of this. But they did. So Jaden bumps into Yugi and cards go everywhere, which I think probably happens more often than you'd think in this world, because literally everybody is carrying an entire deck around with them at all times, sometimes multiple decks. So if you just casually nudge somebody, there's like millions of cards on the floor moments later. Imagine getting off a subway train and the floor is just littered with cards. That's what happens in this universe. So Jaden bumps into Yugi on his way and he's like, oh, sorry about that. Oh, aren't you that guy? And Yugi's like, yeah, I get that a lot. Which is weird in the dub because he's talking with Dan Green deep voice, you know, like Yami Yugi. And he shouldn't be really, because this is Yugi. This isn't Atem, this isn't the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh at this point has presumably moved on into the afterlife. But I guess for some reason they decided that this older Yugi was gonna sound like the booming sexy man voice of the Pharaoh. I mean, I'm not complaining that we get to hear the spelt dulcet tones of Sir Daniel of Green, but at the same time, it's an odd choice. Just kind of weird. Takes me out of the moment, and I was so invested. So Yugi recognizes immediately that this Jaden guy must be a duelist, you know, because the 40 or 50 cards on the floor aren't enough of a hint. He just sort of looks at him and is like, ah, yeah, you're a duelist, because I know. I'm wise. I have wisdom about that stuff. And by the way, great choice for a dub name for Yuki Judai is Jaden. I have to say, it's impossible to think of a single person in the world with the name Jaden who is unappealing and unlikable by default. Can't think of any. And he looks at Jaden and he's like, oh, you're a duelist, so I'm gonna give you a winged Kuriboh. That's what he does. That's the passing of the baton, essentially. And it's like, I'm just going back to like season 2 and 3 of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime. And I'm thinking, remember how long it took Joey to feel like he deserved to be given his Red Eyes Black Dragon back? I know that obviously Joey had failed and had to regain, you know, his self-confidence and his self-worth in order to be worthy of that card, but I'd just like to imagine, like, Joey just being slightly off camera and Yugi, like, handing him his red eyes instead of the winged Kuriboh, and Joey being like, what the hell, man? What is this? Just very blasé the way he just gives him that card. Oh, you're the protagonist now? Here you go. Got a million of them. So Jaden keeps legging it to the entrance exams, which by now he's probably like an hour late for, and the theme song kicks in, and oh my god, the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX theme song. It's kind of brilliant. It's so far separated from the original sort of mysterious, like, mystic vibe that the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Theme for the Duel Monsters anime had. It's just, if you've not heard it, please go search for it on YouTube, because holy cow. It sounds like the dying screams of the 90s. It's everything that I hate about, like, the 4Kids anime dubs. It's a very important time capsule, is the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX theme song. It's kind of brilliant. Chilling out with the crew in the schoolyard. Finding trouble. Never looking too hard. If you're looking too hard, you're doing it wrong. Just sort of casually, like, look out the corner of your eye for trouble, like that. Everyone's walking around Duel Academy being like, I'm not looking too hard, guys, because that'd be weird. Would go against the lyrics of our theme song. But yeah, theme song, great, brilliant stuff. If you don't catch yourself singing the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX theme song every so often while you're doing very serious activities, then there's something wrong with you. Jury duty. Just singing the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX theme song to yourself during the trial. If you haven't done that, you've got no soul. So the entrance exams are happening in the dual Thunderdome thing. And they've got like little courtyards for each duel where all the teachers or the staff are like seeing if the kids can beat them in a card game. Or it's kind of confusing because it shows Bastion Misawa dueling a staff member, and the staff member gives him a multiple choice question, and then Bastion just uses a trap card, I think it's Ring of Destruction, and it wasn't one of the 3 multiple choice questions, so I can only assume that you get into Duel Academy by completely ignoring what the teachers are saying and just beating them in a card game. Which, to me, would suggest, why are you even going to the school? You're not going to listen to the teachers? You already can play the game. What are you doing? Go learn something else. Go study, I don't know, algebra. You can't really, like, ignore all the multiple choice questions and just activate Ring of Destruction in the middle of an algebra exam. It'll make you think outside the box. Just saying, Bastion Misawa. Oh, and by the way, when Bastion wins his duel, the teacher, like, congratulates him on passing the entrance exam after he's ignored the question. And Bastion's response is to say, "Thank you, oh wise proctor." Which is the show's way of saying, by the way, this guy's a posh shithead. That's his character. Posh shithead. If we learn anything else about him in the next 10 episodes aside from his ability to play cards and how posh he is and how much of a shithead he is, I will eat a Kuriboh card live on video. I hope we don't learn anything about him now. Meanwhile, while this is all happening, Jaden has met Cyrus, who is going to be like the kind of Joey Wheeler to his Yugi Moto, I guess. Except Cyrus is completely different from Joey. He's very mild-mannered and timid, but still very much a boy. He is boy. Cyrus is boy. You learned it here. You don't learn anything else from this Yu-Gi-Oh! GX review series. Know that Cyrus is boy. Also watching the entrance exams is Mr. Chaz Princeton, who is kind of the rival character. He's like if you took Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! And just replaced him with Mokuba, but kept everything else the same. Like it was Mokuba walking around in this giant trench coat that was way too big for him, and nobody took him seriously, but he took himself very seriously. That's kind of Chaz Princeton. Anyway, he's a d***. Also watching the duel is Professor Crowler, who is a fantastic character, and I think he's played bloody well by Sean Schemmel in the dub, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen an iteration of Professor Crowler that I haven't loved, and it's very much true of the dub as well, so marvelous character, always entertaining, and he sat there being, like, not impressed by a lot of the entrants in the entrance exam. And then a staff member comes over and can't tell if he's a man or a woman, which is a joke that's held up super well. Just really held up just fine. Really just a classic evergreen joke. Anyway, the staff member tells Crowler that Jaden just showed up and is late, but he still wants to apply for the entrance exam. And Crowler's like, no, Anyway, Crowler gets a call from the Chancellor, and the Chancellor says, you better not be cutting a bunch of people because they called you a woman. Holds up. And the Chancellor's like, last year you cut about 1/3 of the students, so I don't want you doing that this time. And so Crowler gets upset and is like, I'd better not turn that late student away. But I'm gonna go duel him myself. Teach him a lesson. An actual lesson. Because it's a school. Meanwhile, Jaden and Cyrus are kind of bonding over the fact that they aren't great duelists. They used to get loads of really low scores at school for their dueling, I guess. But then Bastion comes back, and as Jaden is going down to take his entrance exam, he mentions to Bastion, you must be like the second best duelist here. And Bastion's like, alright, who's the best duelist, you And Jaden's like, you're looking at him. I'm the best. Dueling's the thing I'm best at. But he was just talking about his low scores, so what are you on about? Also, randomly bragging about how great you are at things, very likable trait in a protagonist, I find. Remember when Kaiba challenged Yugi to a duel and Yugi was not remotely concerned about his grandpa because he was like, look, Gramps, I'm going to take care of Kaiba because I'm just the best. Very endearing. Just made me love him. So yeah, after Jaden's done telling Bastion to literally eat his own shit, he goes down to the entrance exam court where he sees Dr. Crowler being prepped by a couple of staff members. And Dr. Crowler reveals himself as the head of technique. He's the department chair of techniques at Duel Academy, which is such a meaningful title, and you immediately know what he does as a result of him informing the audience that that's what he is. The chair of techniques. It's like being the headmaster of style. I want to be the headmaster of style. I want to be the principal of funk. Future job aspiration right there. Principal of funk. But in response to this, Jaden is like, oh, I thought based on how you dressed, you were a cheerleader. Why isn't he immediately cut for saying that? I don't mean cut from the entrance exam. I mean, why didn't someone go over with a knife and just shank him? That should have been it. The moment you call the entrance exam teacher, not just the entrance exam teacher, the department chair of technique, a cheerleader, you should be done. But no. I also really love about this scene that Crowler reveals that he's wearing a dual vest. He has like a chest piece that spits out cards for him to put on his dual disc, which is just like a massive like electric piano looking thing. It's amazing. He has a weird like chest guard that just like regurgitates cards. Why did nobody bring that back? Did they? Did I just not know about it? Because it's great. It's so weird and not functional. You know what's a more convenient place to draw cards from aside from my hand or a table? Tits. Why can't I lactate cards? Seems like I should obviously be able to do that. I want him to wear two just so he has like a dual vest bra. I love his dual vest. Anyway, Jaden and Crowler are gonna duel now. In his first move, Jaden summons Elemental Hero Avian in defense mode, which immediately gets him disqualified from the entrance exam because you can't summon things in defense mode, you have to set them in defense mode. So he's done. He's out of the entrance exam, he doesn't go to school, the show's over.
Don't stop believing.
Oh no, sorry, it's fine, because the show doesn't actually care about how the card game works. It just cares about how cool it could be if you could do that stuff. That's fine. Don't have to adhere to the real-life rules of the game. Oh, by the way, immediately Jaden throws down a face down and says, "Get your game on," because that's his catchphrases. You gotta have those. You know what I really liked about the "It's time to duel" catchphrase of like Yu-Gi-Oh! From the Duel Monsters anime is that they didn't make just one character say it, and he didn't say it all the time. It was something that everybody said right before they dueled. But Jaden, he gotta throw that face down, and he's gotta get his game on, like, 24/7, and it's always him. Nobody else says that stuff. So he just looks like a massive Wally who has his own catchphrase. And who does that? Who relies on catchphrases so much? Certainly not me. Crowler mentions that he's using one of his own personal decks rather than one of the standard decks that they give for entrance exams. So he'll definitely be humiliating this kid and getting him kicked off the entrance exam. He couldn't just, like, not bring him in because of the cheerleader remark. He has to actually beat him in a card game. Crowler plays a spell card called Confiscation, which allows him to look at Jaden's hand and take one of his cards and throw it to the GY, the graveyard, sorry. And so he takes Monster Reborn and chucks it. Crowler then lays two cards face down and uses Heavy Storm, which destroys all spells and trap cards on the field. Which is weird because when he does it, he says it destroys all other spells and trap cards, but it should just destroy all of them, because that's what it does. So it's weird that he clarified that, you know? He didn't have to. It made it confusing. But then it cuts to Bastion explaining what the card does, so I guess Crowler saying that allowed Bastion to be a smug prick, so it was worth it, sure. I should also mention that deeply fleshed out characters Alexis and Zane are also watching these duels happen, and Alexis comments that she thinks Crowler is an elitist snob, which shows that she's an idiot, because Crowler is the best, and Zane comments on how he hopes that he gets to see Crowler's legendary secret card, which is Ancient Gear Golem, which is a legendary secret hidden card, I guess. Crowler uses these two tokens that he summoned as a result of using Heavy Storm and sacrifices them to summon Ancient Gear Golem, and Alexis is very excited by seeing it, as you can hear.
There it is! The legendary rare card!
Does she not sound excited to you? Because that sounded like exhilaration. To me, anyway. I don't know. Jaden isn't put off, though, because he says he's always wanted to take on an Ancient Gear Golem. You know what you should be hoping to be able to do, Jaden, rather than fight an Ancient Gear Golem, is make your parents love you enough to drive you places. Zane comments that Jaden is facing down this Ancient Gear Golem like he hasn't got a care in the world, and then he adds that, I guess youth and inexperience have a benefit after all. And it's like, Zane, you're like, what, 16? F off. It's like when a 15-year-old looks at a 12-year-old and is like, oh, millennials. You're as youthful and as inexperienced as anybody else. Yeah, shut up, you daft sod. Ancient Gear Golem attacks Jaden, and it looks for all the world like the cybernetic ghost of Christmas past from the future. And it destroys Jaden's Avian, which apparently deducts the difference between their attack and defense from Jaden's life points, which, it's a shame. And Jaden looks like he's crying, but then he lifts his head up and he's actually laughing. And he's like, boy, I really want to come to this school now because of all the things that would make you want to go to Duel Academy. The fact that one of the professors there has a specific trading card is way up there. I know I picked my educational facility based on the fact that one of the teachers had a really cool action figure. It was Beast Man. Jaden's winged Kuriboh talks to him from his deck, which totally isn't weird, and the electric guitar version of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters theme plays. It's brilliant. If you haven't watched the episode, go back and watch it just for that. You didn't think they could make Yu-Gi-Oh! More cheesy, but they managed it. Crowler announces that he's a master technician, so Jaden doesn't stand a chance, and he attacks the winged Kuriboh with his Ancient Gear Golem, which displays a mastery of technique, if you ask me. Crowler calls winged Kuriboh lame, and Jaden says, oi, don't call it lame, and then he dedicates his next turn to the dead winged Kuriboh. I'm not joking. All of his other monsters that die in the future must be really pissed that he didn't dedicate any of his turns in any of his card games to them. But that winged Kuriboh deserves a minute of silence for its sacrifice. Jaden brings back his elemental hero Avian and then uses polymerization to fuse two of his elemental heroes into the elemental hero Flame Wingman. And I've said elemental hero so many times and it's just the first episode. And then Jaden totally schools Crowler and says, I hope you're ready for a clash of the titans. And he emphasizes clash and titans like it's some great wordplay. It's not. It's a really not even a joke. It's just it's a saying. It's the name of a movie and the remake of a movie. It's not a joke, Jaden. You just said words. I hope you're ready for a War of the Planet of the Apes. I hope you're ready for an Avengers Infinity War. I know he's not referencing the movie, but still. What is he doing? Bastion helpfully and snobbishly explains that when Flame Wingman attacks another monster, that monster's attack points are subtracted from the owner. So Jaden needs to raise his monster's attack points in order to do that. And Jaden's like, I know! So he plays Skyscraper, a magic field card, and it creates a holographic city within the duel field. And with elemental hero Flame Wingman being like a superhero, being in a city makes him much more powerful, presumably because there's more crime there. I hope he's not looking too hard for that crime, because as the theme song said, you're not meant to do that. Sort of any crime. And it turns out Skyscraper raises elemental hero Flame Wingman's attack by 1,000, which is crazy. Is that right? 1,000. That seems absurd to me. That's probably right, though. And so he attacks because he has equal attack with the Ancient Gear Golem, causing Crowler to lose 3,000 life points and lose the entrance exam. And then the Ancient Gear Golem collapses on top of Crowler, and Jaden does his, like, gotcha thing. I don't know how you do it. And the crowd applauds. And it's kind of absurd because, judging by the size of the room and the number of people in it, there's maybe, I want to say 50, 60 people there, maybe. But the crowd applaud sound effects make it sound like it's an entire arena of people applauding for Jaden, which for me has the exact effect that canned laughter has in a sitcom. Even if a joke is funny, if I hear a bunch of invisible people laughing at it on the TV, I'm gonna be pissed off more than anything. So hearing all these invisible people applaud for Jaden just makes me want to see him fail. I'm going to be waiting a while for that, though. Chaz is not Chaz-pressed by Jaden and leaves very Chaz-missively. Alexis is like, wow, that kid has a future here. And you gotta think that if somebody goes to Duel Academy and doesn't have a future there, they're setting the bar really low for themselves. Jaden celebrates with his only friend. No, not Cyrus, his winged Kuriboh card, which winks at him. And he isn't worried about that. If any of the cards that I'd had on the Duelist Kingdom Island last month had started talking to me, I would have taken drastic steps to see that card destroyed. I would cleanse it with fire. That's what I would do. Seems like it would be a natural reaction. Whereas Jaden is like, oh yeah, to some sort of weird paranormal event. Can you imagine watching Paranormal Activity and the whole time Jaden's like, oh yeah, now it's happening. Time to get your ghost on. just weird. Just very celebratory about it. That's just who he is. Anyway, that's episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, entitled The Next King of Games. And if you had asked me if I liked the episode or not, I don't think that's relevant, honestly. I don't think this show is for me. I'm going into these videos completely aware of that, but I'm having fun with them, and I'm having a good time, and I'm enjoying the experience, so I enjoyed watching episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and you should watch it too if you found this review remotely entertaining or it just raised your curiosity. You should check it out. It's all on Crunchyroll.com or on Yu-Gi-Oh!.com, I believe. You can watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX on a bunch of platforms legally. Are you a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? Do you think I'm completely off base with a lot of my comments? Do you want to talk about what a posh git Bastian Misawa is? Please talk about it in the comments. And of course, I want to give a massive shout out to all of our Patreon pledgers. I'm going to talk about them again. I want to talk to all of you directly, even though it's not you directly. I'm talking to your names as they go across the screen. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are like waking up on a warm summer day, and the distant cry of Jade and Yugi being defeated in a card game is heard off in the woods. That's what you guys are for me. Thank you for that experience. Hope you liked the video. I'll be back next week with a review of episode 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So if you want to catch up on the show, you can go watch it right now, and I'll be back next week to talk about my feelings on what transpired. Till then, it's time to get your game on. I'm not gonna get my game on. It's a metaphorical game. Let's face the week with a plum. Yeah. See you later.